Yesterday, the world was shocked when a man live streamed a massacre. There's no real words to describe it. I watched it. Shouldn't have watched it. It stuck with me. Still sticks with me. The guy who bum rushed him, trying to stop him, the hero, was taken down like an NPC in a video game. That's what it felt like watching it. When you're on a rampage in a first-person shooter game and a guy comes at you going, ah, and you take him out. That's what it felt like. But that's not what it was. That was a living, breathing person at the time. No more. One of the things that came out of this, one of the conversations we've been seeing today, is its relation to Pewdiepie. The meme, subscribe to Pewdiepie, the battle between T-Series and Pewdiepie. And how it was at the forefront of the conversation. It still kind of is the forefront of the conversation. In fact, Reddit privated PewDiePie submissions. It completely banned watch people die. It banned gore. And it's privating PewDiePie submissions because of this, because of what some monster, some maniac did. PewDiePie had nothing to do with it. Everyone out there knows that. Everyone out there understands that. I would like to think that. But apparently, Julia Alexander from The Verge, formerly of Polygon, I think she still writes there occasionally, thinks a little bit differently, although not entirely on the it's all PewDiePie's fault train. She put this out yesterday, or this morning, saying, subscribe to PewDiePie is a meme that encompasses a misled belief that it's a fight for the disenfranchised, those constantly being pushed down. It's David versus Goliath. It's used on boards like 8chan as a rallying cry. It doesn't belong to PewDiePie anymore, but we need to examine it. It never even really did belong to PewDiePie, even though he was at the center of it. The idea there is not about trying to fight for the disenfranchised. The idea there is that YouTube wants to remain in power, I guess, or in popularity with YouTubers. A lot of YouTubers and a lot of people who watch YouTube get tired of seeing corporate brands constantly flooding the trending page, how YouTube caters to those people. The concept of T-Series as a channel coming out of India that's rivaling PewDiePie. Yes, it became a meme that Mr. Beast put up a lot of money to support, going to the Super Bowl with subscribe PewDiePie t-shirts on. We've seen this in a lot of places, but the idea there is just about a competition between a YouTuber and a corporation. That's the difference here. It is in that regard David versus Goliath, but nowhere about the disenfranchised having a fighting call or a rallying call. It might be used as a meme on 8chan, but it's used as a meme everywhere. In no way is it relegated or simply just pigeonholed to that community. There are a lot of memes that come out of those communities. This wasn't one of them. But trying to argue that it's somehow PewDiePie's, not his fault, because she does go on to say that it's not his fault, but trying to say that this meme now is what's a rallying cry for what is going to be New Zealand's largest massacre, or what is going to be this insane stain on our species, or where this guy went through and just gunned all these people down at a mosque because he wanted to showcase that it could happen anywhere. I mean, his manifesto is absolutely fucking insane, but still. Now, she was on to say here, I want to be careful. PewDiePie isn't to blame for this, but he exists in this Venn diagram that births radicalization. As a YouTuber watches a vid, then spends time clicking through, someone who like Shapiro, who leads to Rogan, who leads to somewhere else, YouTube isn't fighting this. No, we have what we call cluster systems here on the platform, where channels that share a related audience will be recommended to one another. That's just the way things are. That's the whole truth of the situation. That's been known for a long time. You tried to argue that the other day with the Captain Marvel situation. I don't know why, Julia Alexander, you are now the YouTube police. You are now the YouTube police. You want to talk about radicalization? You write You wrote, or you do write, for Polygon, a website that consistently pushes false narratives, consistently lies about shit, consistently does all of these things to try to elicit some form of left-leaning control over factors you want to be in control of. Like, you were even at VidCon hosting a panel about YouTube, but I don't know, I didn't go to the panel, but I really want to know, did you disclose the fact that you frequently write about YouTube at a VidCon panel about YouTube? I would love there to be some transparency on your end of that particular front. I would just love for that to be a reality. I'd love to see you actually do something that would be considered for the better good, rather than going, well, YouTube knows what they're doing. Stop it. You're not helping the situation at all. People are dead, and you're out here trying to gravestand by blaming Pewdiepie, or the meme surrounding Pewdiepie, not Pewdiepie himself. I do want to make that abundantly clear. She was on to say here that YouTube plays whack-a-mole with certain topics, but that doesn't fix the problem. YouTube doesn't think of user behavior as multiple click-throughs. They only think of search. So someone who watches one video ends up somewhere else and then goes to Reddit. Well, shit. Not always true. In fact, if you think about it for a second, the vast majority, and this is coming from a person who does this, by the way, I do this 7 days a week. So I want you to know that when I'm talking to you, I'm coming at this from a place of fucking authority. This is what I do, and I've spent 2 years learning. You want to sit there and try to apply it to Reddit? Are you insane? Most people watch from their mobile device, or a TV, a smart TV, or a console. So yes, the search systems on a TV or on a console are absolutely garbage when it comes to YouTube. So they do rely on the autoplay, but the autoplay isn't going to move them from Joe Rogan to Reddit. You're an idiot if you think that. You're an idiot if this is what you're trying to push as being factual. I don't believe you're an authority on this particular situation. I don't believe you're an authority on this at all. YouTube does value click-through rates in order to get suggestions and recommended views. YouTubers want to be in those particular view categories because I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to all of you out there who don't know how this whole game is played. Subscribers don't matter. That number doesn't matter. YouTube doesn't take any of that into account when they push your videos. So yes, the cluster system finds audiences with similar interests and it recommends them across the board. That's what they want you to do in order to grow together. That's part of what they've designed. So does this lead people down very odd rabbit holes? Yes, it does. That's how the algorithm works, good and bad. And YouTube is aware of the bad and they're working on the bad. I wouldn't be surprised here, and I don't know for certain, but I wouldn't be surprised if Julia here was very much on the Matt what it is thing and was believing every single thing he said, without giving any critical thought. And I will admit, for the sake of full transparency, I didn't give it as critical of a thought right off the bat as well. I didn't. That was on me. Then I stopped and I thought about it a little bit and I was like, oh, right. I'm wrong. So was he, because it's easy to get caught up in the whole mindset of it. This is why we need to stop and take a step back. And I am getting a little bit emotional on this one, a little bit heated. I fully admit that. But this is one of the stupidest threads on Twitter I have seen. And you know what? It absolutely continues. She goes on to say here that subscribe to Pewdiepie is so much bigger than one creator or one website. It's a meme that once listened to has been co-opted by anger groups as a fight song and anthem. Look at how 8chan, 4chan, Reddit, and YouTube talk about it. We know this. Why don't platforms? Oh my God. People are talking about trying to keep a YouTuber as the most subscribed YouTube channel on the platform. People are trying to help a YouTuber who helped bring it into the mainstream, normalize it in many ways, while having some screw-ups on his own end. Let's not forget that. But ultimately done more to push gaming, done more to push the platform, and done more than T-Series did, which is just like a collection channel. Oh, we host music videos here. We need to be number one. Whatever. Okay. That's the whole fight here. Again, David versus Goliath. You said so yourself, but then you're trying to say, oh, it was co-opted by 8chan, co-opted by 4chan, co-opted by Reddit. Because people talk about this? Do you believe that the alternative influence network is actually a thing? Do you believe that that absolute complete BS study is even remotely factual? Considering that if you just look at the dates they provided, it's so easily broken down with facts. Oh, I'm sorry. Again, I'm on that list. And I live that in this world. And again, it's not hard to see what happens. Have you thought about maybe asking a person who engages in this for a full-time profession? Or are you gonna sit back and pen another article for Verge that the tech industry apparently freaking listens to without actually knowing what the hell you're talking about? Because that's exactly where you are right now. And it's frustrating because we all want the platform to be better. What we don't want are idiots like you running your mouth over shit you literally don't know about. And I'm going to say that, and I mean that legitimately. I don't think you actually know what you're talking about here. Because if you did, you would understand that this is an algorithm issue. Trying to sit there and push radicalization via 8chan, 4chan, and Reddit because someone watches Joe Rogan? Are you that dumb? She goes on to say here, now we talk about radicalization and hate online. We know it's bigger than one person. We know how hate spreads. We watch how one meme carries, and most importantly, differs from platform to platform. I'm so fucking angry and sad, but I'm paying more attention than ever. Last point on how YouTube needs to do better. Typing subscribe to Pewdiepie gives this search option a reference to H3H3, but how many people know that coming to the site for news today and conspiracy theories and re-uploads? No news. This is why we're exhausted. And she goes on to talk about some of the images here involving videos that have popped up talking about the whole shooting incident in New Zealand. YouTube looks at a video that gets a velocity viewing, views per hour. Those videos get put to the top of the search engine. Google will then catalog particular search questions and they autofill when you do it. YouTube and Google both share a lot of the same basic technology, but the number one search engine is Google. The number two search engine is YouTube. This is how things become autofilled. This is how things get stuck in there. This is how the tag system works. This is how things are. YouTube ultimately is not a place that should be looked at as being a factor for news. It should be a place to go to get commentary and opinion. You can find news, but you have to be able to look for yourself to see what's legitimate. While I comment on the news, I never consider myself to be a reporter. I consider myself to be a commentator or a pundit because that's precisely what I am. You're arguing that people who are commenting on things are somehow the news. They're not the news. They were never the news. They know it. Everyone else out there knows it. And you're again trying to push this false narrative that this is YouTube's fault. Not YouTube's fault. They deal with enough crap as it is, trying to deal with bad actors, that they don't need someone who actually works for a tech blog who writes about tech and being so woefully completely impotent to even knowing what the hell is happening here, trying to give them false information, or at least not give them false information, but give other people false information, which will then, if done the right way, like Matt's what it is, it will then push this massive backlash, which then pushes more of a push on YouTube for them to do an instant reaction, which then doesn't benefit anybody. Like, there's a responsibility to understanding the platform of which you're talking about, and I believe you don't know what you're talking about. You're coming at this from a very, very, very surface level understanding of how the algorithm works, of how YouTube works, and ultimately how people work. You want to argue that just by going to 4chan or going to 8chan or going to Reddit somehow can radicalize you into becoming a man who mass shoots 49 people while live streaming it on Facebook? No, you're a fucking madman if you do that. You're a fucking deranged psychopath if you do that, and that's not what happens when you go to those websites. You can find other people that are like that there, but that's not their core point. And trying to argue that that's exactly where things are only further gives them the credibility they want to then attract the disenfranchised. The disenfranchised that do go on there and do see the full-on racist shit that comes out of poll. But then trying to associate it with something as understandable as subscribe to PewDiePie is so irresponsible, ignorant, and goddamn wrong. I can't even fathom how you fucking type these words on Twitter. Stop doing this. You clearly don't know what the hell it is you're talking about, and you need to stop pushing false information, because when you push false information, and I'll be honest with you, it impacts me directly and my friends directly, but you don't care because you get a fucking salary from your fucking tech blog that gets fewer views than my goddamn channel does. So please shut the fuck up.